OnlyFans is a scam and it's demonic. The OnlyFans industry have been growing for quite some time right now. And we have seen how it just all over the internet. I mean, everywhere you go, there's OnlyFans. It's on your Facebook, it's on Instagram, it's on Twitter, and it's even on TikTok, which TikTok, I commend TikTok for not allowing people to post the OnlyFans link anymore. Now people got it on their link tree bio. But this thing is very demonic, and we going to dive in on a podcast that Bryce Crawford have, and he's talking to an ex OnlyFans manager. But before we get started, make sure you hit that like button so this video can go out into the algorithm to people just like you, and it can help this channel grow. So yeah, let's dive into it. I would say with the OnlyFans thing, like everything that she's saying in this like interview is 100% true. And the reason how I can vouch for that is because I came from a background of like full-fledged like lust. Like I had my own OnlyFans account at one point when I was in the world, but I never like actually promoted it, and I never really went forward with it. Praise God. Dude, I was even dragging my wife into it, but I'm glad we didn't, you know, deep dive into it and promote it, and we didn't get no subscriptions or anything like that because we didn't promote it, right? And I'm glad because that's something that I would have to basically get through, right? But I will say, since me getting into all that, like my battle with lust is a battle. It is a battle, y'all. I'm not perfect. Like I'll admit, like that is one of the battles that I battle with. Um, is and I'm being authentic and real with y'all. Is watching stuff that I shouldn't watch, and so I I have done so like I had got to the point where I don't desire it or anything, but my flesh will. And there is times where I want to watch it. This thing popped up. I'm glad it popped up like while I'm doing this part and not the screen, because that would have been annoying. But anyway, yeah, I do battle with it, like the thoughts of it and stuff. And I battle with, lust. And that's just me being real as a Christian. I only been in this walk for what, um only a year and a half. And so, sanctification is a process, and I'm going to speak out against it. Maybe maybe this video here is going to make me stronger. Um and all praise God to it, cuz God is so good, and I'm so glad for his grace and mercy, because I would, yeah, I would be cut away from God if it wasn't for that, right? And I just gonna continue to have faith, continue to stand strong, stand firm. And some things that I realize about pornography too is that when you do watch that stuff, it causes a problem. A lot of people don't know, but it can cause you and your significant other to argue, have conflicts and stuff. And y'all, please don't mind my son if y'all hear him crying in the background. He's in the other room, but he's loud. But it'll cause you to have arguments. I've seen it firsthand when I would watch it, and then literally either that same day or the next few days, like me and my wife just would argue or get into a conflict. It wouldn't be like bad, but it would be like there's no peace. It'd be a unsettling uh spirit, right? And so just seeing that happen and seeing what it does, and the models and stuff, they don't. Some of them do, but some of them don't understand like how much they can break up a family. And man, we're just gonna dive into it, and we're gonna talk more about it. So, if y'all don't know, which a lot of people do know, Bryce Crawford has a podcast and he have a channel, and I actually love his content. It's real genuine content, right? And he's interviewing uh ex OnlyFans manager who gave her life to Christ. So let's just see what she say.
Now, before you kind of go down this rabbit hole, just for people that don't know, can you explain what an OnlyFans agency is so that people understand?
Yeah, totally. And I think it is good to say the context. So for the first 8 months, I was doing all the marketing, and I'll explain what that is. It was account management. That's when I jumped on the back end, and that's when I really saw what we were doing, and that's when I was like, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
So for anyone that maybe even doesn't understand what OnlyFans is, I think it's appropriate to like set the context.
Yeah.
OnlyFans is a new iteration of pornography that we have in our generation, but we've never had kind of this phenomenon where it's idolized and encouraged. And so now people are like, an OnlyFans content creator. It's like, what does that even mean? Well, it means you're a porn star.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for people to understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so what comes from that is, if we put like our business brains on, if on OnlyFans, the main allure is instant messaging, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're this OnlyFans girl and you have hundreds of thousands of followers on your Instagram, and you're being like, hey guys, come talk to me on OnlyFans in the DMs. Well, you can't logistically be replying to hundreds of thousands of people potentially, right?
Yeah.
So that's where agencies come in. So the main role of an agency is to pretend to be the girl on their behalf to make money, is to market the girl to be able to bring in subscribers, and then to recruit girls to come onto the agency as well. Yeah. And they take a percentage of it.
Wow. Now, so when you guys had creators come on.
That is true. That is very true. And I can vouch for that. I used to be a big spender on the app or whatever it is. Like on the site, I used to be one of those guys that spend a lot of money on there. It was horrible, y'all. I used to couldn't wait to get a paycheck so I could pay for whoever OnlyFans account that I saw on Instagram that was promoted on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter, whatever that is. And I would go on there and subscribe, and man, just the loophole to get to quote unquote the good stuff that you have to take when it comes to paying is ridiculous. I would subscribe, and then I would go, once you subscribe to the girl account, then instantly, like instantly, you will get a message from them. Really, not them, it was the agency. And they would like, thanks for subscribing, and they'll sometimes give you like a free clip, and it would be just something like, nothing too it wouldn't be like full nudity. But then they're like, like later they'll hit you up again and be like, hey, what are you doing? They'll talk very seductive to you, right? And if you respond, they'll be like, so what do you want to blah blah blah, like what you want to do and stuff, and like trying to set you. It's when you talk provocative in a message, and then you talk provocative back to them, and then they'll ask you what you want to see, and then you'll tell them what you want to see or do or whatever, and then they'll be like, click on this, I'm right now to see. And you'll click, if you click on it, you have to pay for it. It will start off with like $20, right? And then slowly lure you in. Don't that sound like the devil? Slowly lure you in. And as it get more explicit, it get more pricey. So you have spent from like between 10 to 20 bucks to about almost 40 bucks on some very like, it's provocative, but it's not like quote unquote the nasty stuff, right? And as it get nastier, it get more expensive. So now but before you know it, you in the $100 range, and you're not even in full conversation with them. Like you probably done had a few conversation with them, maybe like just a little bit. You just not even halfway through it, and by the time you get through the whole thing, ain't no telling how much you have spent, and that's how they get you. And the thing is, too, is as I was doing that, I caught on and I thought it was just AI, but I didn't know it was actual real people sending this stuff. It's actually a real agent sending this stuff, right? And it gotten so bad now that now the agency are not only just on like the OF site, but they're using Telegram. And same thing happened to me. I remember, man, it was crazy. I don't know when this happened. I want to say last year. Um, I got dragged into it, dude. Dragged into it. Fell on my face hard. Um, I remember I was just chilling, and someone that I once knew, someone that I knew, like was they're like a full-fledged porn star, and she basically got a Telegram, and so I had her number, so like I already like when I opened the Telegram, she was there, and I was like kind of checking it out, like, oh, who is this? Out of curiosity, right? Curiosity kills the cat, and then guess what? I got dragged in the same way, and they do the same thing on Telegram. So yeah, that is so true, and that what was like, bro, this messed up, making me broke. I got bills to pay. You know what I'm saying? It's stupid. And I was stupid.
On like at the time, because I'm thinking about stuff that we've encountered in LA. Was it made clear to the people that at the time when you were working for them that you guys were bringing on, like, hey, it's going to be OnlyFans, like it's kind of like, it's going to be a little seductive and more porn stuff, or was it just like, hey, we're going to sell exclusive content, and then the rabbit hole slowly started to unfold? What was that like?
Yeah. So what I think is really interesting, I call it manufactured consent, because it's like, is it really consent if you don't know the full picture? So when we were doing the onboarding process of, you have a brand new girl, we have this thing called a questionnaire, and you do the questionnaire because you're trying to get as much information as possible. And so in that, we have this thing called levels. This is at the specific agency I was at. And so it's, what level of content are you comfortable doing? So level 1 at the time was Instagram content, bikini and lingerie.
Yeah.
Level 2 was implied nudity. Level 3, full nudity. Level 4, I'm sorry for the language, but was everything but.
Yeah.
And then level 5 was everything.
Wow.
And so what that does psychologically to a girl is, if you tick level 1, oh, does that mean to make money I have to get to level 5? Does that mean that, am I starting at the bottom and this is the ladder, right?
Whoa.
And then even as time went on, we had realized, I was the one that came up with this idea. I was like, let's get rid of level 1 because it doesn't make us money. All the girls that do Instagram content, they're making the least. So then now already you might have that lens, being a newly recruited girl. Oh, I'm just comfortable with like cute pics or whatever, right? But then now level 1 is implied nudity. And then you're still seeing this kind of process of escalation.
Yeah.
And the culture behind the scenes is, oh, she's complaining that she makes no money. Well, check her level. What does she expect? She's only a level 2. Whoa. So then you kind of encourage, well, why don't you collaborate with this person? Why don't you do this? So you're not hard manipulating them, being like, you have to do level 5. You're softly doing it.
Yeah.
Babe, go, she's really doing well on her OnlyFans. Let's get a content day going. Let's get you with her. And then before you know it, you're at level 5 and you didn't even realize that you were.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And that is true, y'all. Man, it's just like the devil is so slick. He do the same thing with everything. Everything. And it just, just like with Adam and Eve, you sit there and you're like, did he really say that? Did he really do that? Next thing you know, he slides in, and next thing you know, he got her to bite the apple, um, or the fruit. I keep thinking apple, but bro, that is crazy because I seen that happen firsthand too. I seen that where someone I knew, and they started their OF, and they was just doing just they blew up on TikTok, and then they started off just quote unquote innocent stuff, right? And before you know it, like I think like a year after, like once you could tell something changed. Like she was working, but she still was doing OF. And then next thing you know, she wasn't working no more, and she was just doing OF and like content on Instagram and stuff. And I realized, like, when I had checked back, that her stuff was more explicit. And I was like, wow, she's guilty. She's going, like, she's out there. And now I even said this because, like, it don't matter. Like, her stuff is everywhere now. Like, her content itself, like, not that content, but just her, like, her name it's just have like grown a lot. And I'm like, she's gonna get dragged into, before you know it, being a full-fledged porn star, and she's pretty much there. And it is just, it's crazy because it started off like, oh no, I'm just gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that, and then boom, before they know it, they hitting the ground running, and they're deep in it, man. It's a trick.
And at least in America, like what we seen, because when I moved to LA, we started a Bible study, and at the Bible study we had like a lot of people. It's basically we started this Bible study, me and a few friends, and it was for people that were in the social media space, whatever it may be, like where they were creators, musicians, actors, whatever, and no phones, and it was just we preached and then Florida questions. And a lot of the people that started coming at the beginning weren't Christian. It was very awesome, safe space. We had a lot of people that were coming that were in the OnlyFans space, or we had like social media creators that were coming who were popular creators that just were searching for hope. And then as it started going by, we had people that were coming, getting encountered by Jesus, that would leave it and start following Jesus. But then we saw the contrary of people that were on this borderline of going, my career's failing, I'm losing money. Because what was happening was people would make a lot of money like in like 2018, 2019 on social media. And so because their money increased, their lifestyle had to increase. But then when I moved to LA, it was like everything was plateauing. So people were like, well, my money's decreasing, but I can't decrease my lifestyle because that's going to look bad. I need to keep increasing my lifestyle. So that means I need to make more money. So OnlyFans was a big thing. There's a big agency out there that in LA called Creators Inc. that like gets a lot of creators.
Nala was at.
Oh, she was at Creators Inc. And so like,
Yep, very true. I it's kind of crazy, like how I kind of relate with this stuff because, um, even me, man, like on TikTok, I remember like I was like, okay, I was sitting at I think like 25,000, maybe 30,000. I don't know. I'm at 30,000 now still. Um, but I was like, man, like I was in a really like stuck spot where I was making money on Facebook Reels and my Facebook got banned. And then on my TikTok, like my views was not like how it was, and I was like, man, like I wanted to continue to portray that I was living like a really like fancy lifestyle. And I bought a car and stuff, and it wasn't even from TikTok money. It was all from working hard, right? But I was trying to fake it till I make it. And I remember like that's how I got pulled into the OnlyFans like scene a little bit for a very short period of time. I'm talking about super short period of time, not even the month. But I was like, man, I gotta make some money. And I was willing to do that, but then something just in my heart, and I know it was God, was like, don't do that. You got a family, you got a wife, you got kids. This is not wise. Don't do it. And I didn't do it. I didn't go on with it. But trying to keep up that lifestyle and trying to make money, more money, this is why I lead people into the industry. And I had people would tell me like, because I used to be something called a thirst trapper, and I realized like a lot of Christians don't know what it is. So a thirst trapper is someone who essentially do like content that is driven with lust, basically. And what they do is they do little lustful stuff, and what it does is since you do lustful content, right? I would have my shirt off, whatever. When you do like lustful content on TikTok, stuff that would not get you banned, right? It would cause for someone to continue to stroll in your videos, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, if you ever been dealing with lust, you'll know if there's a girl that look good and she's wearing tight clothes, you'll sit there and just start strolling. If you watching that stuff, you want to stroll. I've been there, and so I was in the doing it on the male side of it for females. Like I would do that, and they would find themselves stuck on my page, trapped. Thirst trap. That's where thirst trap come from. So yeah, crazy, crazy.
Yeah, so that was kind of like what was going on. But what was interesting was that there were some girls that would come and they would say, yeah, like it just started out like that. It started out as like, oh, I'm going to post a bikini picture or whatever. And then before they knew it, they were being pimped out on escorted dates with men. Yeah. And had experienced deep trauma. And so and they were just like, I don't know how I got here. And it's so interesting. But then on the contrary, we see so many people that turn to it for the sake of money, which is so sad. So I think it's very interesting that you brought that up. And you only did it for 4 weeks.
The account management stuff. So marketing was 8 months. So the difference in that is if you, again, like business brains, so there's no internal promotional system on OnlyFans, right? You don't have a For You page or anything.
Gotcha.
So how do you get subscribers? Well, you have to promote it externally. So that was my role. My role was to build the marketing division. So to make girls go as viral as possible, as quickly as possible, to put men into funneling systems to lead them to a porn platform.
Wow.
So that's what I was doing. So that's why I've been able to see firsthand the magnitude of this.
She said to put men into funneling system. That just sounds so demonic.
Like we were getting literally on like fresh TikTok accounts, girls to like 2.2 million views in 7 days on videos, like insane, like reach. Whoa. And so that's where I started to see that this is so much bigger. It's a culture that's being inaugurated and inundated with this. I saw what it's doing to men, like all of that of like, whoa, if this is just one agency in Australia that's getting girls millions of views on one account, and we were getting girls to make anywhere from 3 to 5 TikTok accounts and post 20 videos per day. So like a massive amount of content just on TikTok. Yeah. Then you've got Instagram, you have Reddit, Twitter, Snapchat, dating apps, like all of this. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're doing thousands of like pieces of content. Imagine globally what is happening.
Wow.
So that's what I got to see firsthand. But then account management was when I actually went onto the back end and started reading all the conversations. I had to manage the accounts, talk to the chatters, and be the middleman between the chatters and the girls and the subscribers.
Whoa! And what put you in that position? Because they approached you and they were like, "Oh, you're good at marketing. You're a great business person." So why did they transition you from what you were skilled at to becoming the account manager? Where did that come from?
So again, the whole point of an agency is to impersonate being the girl, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm over here as the account as the marketing, doing all the marketing, and the OnlyFans account manager's over here, but you're a subscriber and you're talking to the girl on Instagram and then you're talking to her on OnlyFans. As management, if we're not communicating, people started to see holes in our story and they started to ask questions. So that's when we're like, oh, we have to change the internal structure of the business, split the girls in half. So you do less, but now you do the full life cycle. So that's how I got into account management.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. And how much money were some of these girls making every month? Like,
yeah, it's an interesting one. Here's the thing that I have a thing about this question, and it's because I think that people can get blinded by the fact that statistically speaking, it's an average wage of $180 a month. Okay. So realistically, no one's making a lot of money. And I just recently saw that in the end of 2025, there's 4 million content creators on OnlyFans and only 300 make more than $1 million a year.
Whoa.
So it's a very small amount of people that are making a lot of money. And so that's what I'm like, I think needs to be emphasized more than the small amount of people that made a lot of money.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And when you said that the girls, they got a wage, is that correct? So there was like a flat rate that the girls were getting paid for all this other stuff? Because to my knowledge, what I understand about like OnlyFans is, for example, like the messaging thing, don't you have to pay to send messages like on top of the subscription? Like, so it's just like a rabbit hole of making more money. It's like a funnel.
Yes. Like yes and no. Again, think about it. Like, yes. So you can have a paid account and a free account. If you have a paid account, then it's like pay $12 to subscribe to my OnlyFans and maybe we'll put free content up. But then in the messaging, you have this thing called a pay-per-view. So you're sending out multiple pay-per-views of pornographic content, or it's custom requests. So that's where most of the money is made. Whoa. And so what like you have to think of as well is there's two ways you go about making money in this. So you either have a high volume of people coming in and you're pumping through the same content to make a lot of money, but think about how much, like how many people you're going to have. And on OnlyFans, you're not charging realistically thousands and thousands of dollars for content, or you have a small group of really loyal subscribers and you're nurturing relationships. You're giving, like we would train our chatters in the girlfriend experience. How do you trick these guys into believing that they're in a relationship? And then through...
So horrible, bro. People really think they got a girlfriend on. There's people out there that's lonely, that need somebody, that want someone, and they're finding it on OnlyFans. And they're not even talking to the girl for real. Crazy.
Custom requests. That's where you get the big money.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And what was like the age and gender demographic largely of most of the people that were subscribing?
Well, that's what I think is the most cooked thing is you don't know because they're anonymous. So you don't know who you're talking with because they have a fake profile, they have a different name, they don't show you pictures. So you have no idea who these subscribers are.
Interesting.
From what I've learned from like just statistics, supposedly the like average is like 20, I think it's like 18 to 35-year-old white men that are married. I saw a study that 80% of subscribers on OnlyFans are married men, which
awful.
is insane. Yeah.
That is awful. Yeah, and I loved how you hinted on at the beginning that OnlyFans is encouraged pornography, encouraged sexual exploitation, because it is, and it's sickening. Sex sells nowadays, and it's everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. It's like the only thing that works for clickbait on Snapchat, or the only videos that go viral, or this and that. It's all sexual stuff. And you could call it soft porn or whatever you want to call it. No matter what it is, it's sex and it sells. And OnlyFans is banking it in. It's really sad and unfortunate. What's the mental toll that takes on not just you obviously, but these girls that are involved in it?
Yeah, I like to put it this way. I think that people think that like the traditional sexual exploitation industry is here and OnlyFans is here, but they're actually the exact same thing. So it was quite interesting. I was on a call with a girl in the States who works in activism about a month ago, and she was speaking with an FBI agent who's helping a lot of women out of OnlyFans. And he said that he sees women who have been exploited digitally, OnlyFans and all these things, are actually more vulnerable than the physical exploitation women. And it's because when you're physically exploited, there's people in the room, right, to exploit you. So what you want is solitude, and there's a bit of peace in that, right?
Yeah.
Well, imagine being in a room and no one's in there and you're getting exploited. How much does that cook you?
Yeah.
And so what I started to see, and what I have seen, the mental health of my friends when I was in the agency, horrific.
Yeah.
Like, just to put it bluntly, it was so sad. They thought this is all they're good for. They can't do anything else. Verbatim would tell me that. Drugs, alcohol, all the things you can think of. A lot of them had, you know, come from poorer homes, been sexually abused, all the same type of things that you see.
Yeah.
And then my friends that have come out of OnlyFans, same things of the paranoia, of the shame, of struggling to get a job, of deep trauma. Again, I'm hoping that I'm like painting the picture for people. It's actually the exact same thing, but for some reason we just don't legitimize it for people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so tell me about your...
That's the thing too, like, because like I said, I know someone who does it, and I know they're married, and the things that I heard that they've gone through already, and I don't know if it's true or not, so I'm not going to say it, but yeah, it can cause trauma to people, right? And I can only imagine what it does to a married couple, to someone who has a wife that does that. And this is on both parties. So the model who is married and her husband just let her do it, I can only imagine what that does to them and their marriage. I can imagine, I know what it does to a married couple. Been there. A lot of people don't know, like, this stuff here, it a lot of people like, oh, I don't mind if my man watch porn. Yeah, but what, you just don't know what you're doing. You setting yourself up and your marriage and your relationship up for failure when you allow that. So crazy. A lot of people are blinded by that.
transition out of, you did the 8-month marketing, the 4 weeks of account management, and then you were like, I can't do this. You have this encounter with Jesus. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, favorite story ever. So what happened for me is, again, working this job, and my lens was, this is elite. Like, we're hanging out with the rich and the famous. We're throwing like legitimate parties, multi-million-dollar mansions, like all the things, the cars, the yachts, the dinners, like all of that, right?
Yeah.
So what comes with that is the lifestyle of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Now, just for the context of this, I got introduced to cocaine at 13. And so I was 25 at this point. Yeah. So drugs out of control, drinking's out of control, but this is the life, right? And what ended up happening when I jumped onto the back end of OnlyFans is I went, oh my gosh, wait a minute, this is what we're doing. And I'm starting to see all of this porn, and it's girls that I've now made friendships with, right, for these past couple months. And I'm like, this isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And it just started to devastate me. I'm like, that girl's really smart. That girl's really funny. That girl has excellent family values. That girl's hilarious. Like, I still think of these girls every single time I say this. Like, this one girl, if you're in the room with her for 2 seconds, you'd be in tears of laughter. Like, hilarious. And I'd go, and this is what we're telling them to do. These are the dreams that we're telling them to dream. Wow. And so I had that. And then I've also personally never been a consumer of porn. So imagine I'm seeing porn for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's my friends.
Yeah.
And I'm just malfunctioning. I'm crying every day. I can't do this job. But I'm weirdly being like gaslit because the whole world is telling me that this is the pinnacle of success. This is like the most elite thing you can do, right? And so I just went on this journey. I was like, okay, drugs aren't working anymore. I'm staying awake for days on end. Nothing's numbing me out. I don't feel good. What can I do to feel better?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, I know. I had this genius idea.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do a big enough act of good and that'll offset all the bad. And so I'm like, what's a big enough act of good? And I'm like, I'll go overseas and help refugees. Like, that's dramatic enough. And I was like, how the heck do I help refugees? And I had this random memory that, as I said, I was 25 at the time, and I hadn't been to church since I was like 8. Very limited experience at church. Don't really remember much from it. But I had this memory that that church I went to as a kid had this like refugee program.
Yeah.
So I was like, sick, I'll Google the church, I'll sign up for the refugee program. So that's what I do. And I get a call a week later from this young adults pastor. And this story gets more crazy the longer I'm a Christian because I find out more. So what ended up happening is that outreach application never went to the outreach department, but instead the young adults pastor got an email, and I got to see it months later. And it said, Victoria wants to reach out to the church. Here's her number, call her. So that's why she was calling me.
Whoa.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then I was volunteering a couple months ago at a coffee shop, and I'm sharing my testimony with one of the people there, and they're like, oh, what church? Because they're from Melbourne. And they said, Vic, do you know that I was emailing that church for a year and I never got a response? The fact that you got one within 7 days is insane.
Whoa.
And I went, wait, are you serious? Like, are you lying to me? And she goes, no. Like, I had been trying to get in touch with that church for a year and never got a response.
Wow.
So I was like, whoa, like it just gets cooler and cooler.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this young adults pastor calls me and goes, hey, I heard you want to come down to church. Can I invite you to come down this Thursday? So I thought it was like the vetting process of what like Christians did. Like I had no idea what it was. And so, dude, I remember rocking up to this church on a Thursday, and I still remember like sitting in the car and being like, I can't go in there. Like, I'm such a bad person. Like, I'll burst into flames if I walk in there. And I remember just like sitting there, like wrestling with myself. But I just had this like inner thing. I believe that it's God now, but I didn't know that at the time. And it was just like, there's someone in there and they're waiting for you. Just go in. So I went in and I just word vomited for hours to this young adults pastor. And like, I think you can get my personality and I'll find out like, so imagine this, but more unhinged of like, I sell porn. Everyone tells me it's good, but it's kind of bad. Like, I don't know what to do.
It's the first time you've ever said anything.
Literally.
Probably. It's like in like a vulnerable, like I feel bad for what I'm doing kind of thing. I can't even imagine. That probably felt so good to like let that off your chest in that moment.
It didn't. This is where I'm so grateful that this has been my first experience in the church. This woman didn't do what I thought Christians would do. She didn't judge me. She didn't condemn me. I didn't even remember her giving me like a Jesus spiel. Like she just goes, I really would love to invite you to come to church this weekend. We have a guest speaker who's speaking and I think you'll really resonate with them. So I was like, okay, sure. So I rock up to church on the Sunday. I dragged my parents along and the guest speaker in church is talking about OnlyFans.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was sick. So this lady literally has been in activism for like 40 years. She travels all around Australia going into schools. So she sees firsthand what this over-sexualized culture is doing to our young people.
Yeah.
So she's talking about OnlyFans and the dangers and the reality and all of this. And you can imagine I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like,
Oh, that is crazy. Oh my gosh. And people say Jesus is not working, why he don't work miracles. People say that like, oh, he did in the Bible. Why? Dude, that's a miracle. That's not a coincidence. That's a miracle. Jesus is steady doing it today. Wow. Just imagine someone talking about that. She goes to church and she is an agency, a marketer for OnlyFans itself, and she's sitting in the church and she's receiving that message. Wow.
For me, it felt like I know that I'm not insane. Like what we are doing is wrong. This is bad. And there was one very specific moment where she goes, Christians are supposed to be the salt and the light of the earth. And they have failed and we are destroying the next generation. And that's when something in my heart just clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, it just felt again like yes, like I'm not insane.
Yeah.
So she finished speaking. I'm like in the balcony, like at the back, but I literally run down to her and I go up to her and I say, hi, my name's Victoria. I work for an OnlyFans agency and I hate myself. And like, again, didn't do what I thought Christians would do. Like you're going to burn in hell or anything. Yeah. She just goes, would you like to have lunch with me? And this beautiful woman sat with me for hours and just answered all my questions. Ethical porn, positive, liberating, girl power, like all the things, right? And I really appreciated that. Like there was never once, I never felt like a pet project to convert. I was just a human, you know what I mean? And I say this to people to say like, I never did like a salvation prayer that day. I don't even remember anyone preaching Jesus to me. But I left that day and I have the very crystal clear thought in my mind that I went, I don't know what this Jesus thing is, but I have to follow it with all my heart. So in 5 days, I quit the agency. I walked away from a 13-year friendship, another business I was building. I walked away from everything. 8 weeks later, I'm sober, I'm baptized. And then 8 months later is when I was in America on my first tour. And that's what I've been doing ever since for the past 2 years.
Praise God.
Wow, praise God. Wow. Oh man, if y'all want to watch the rest of that, y'all can. I just had to react to it. I really felt like I needed to, and dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm emotional off of that because that's beautiful, bro. Like, yeah, I don't think I gotten emotional a little bit while doing the video, and just to see that, it just shows like if God can pull people out of the industry itself, if he can pull the people actually working and doing that, he can pull the people out that's watching it. And that was just so beautiful, you know? And like I said, like those, my battle is, lust, So that just encouraged me even more because I'm, I battle this thing. I fight it out. And, I'll admit to my fellow Christian brothers and sisters, like there's times I have victory and there's sometimes I don't. And this is part of my testimony. And just seeing that just like really just that hit me. And we had to to flee from sexual immorality and stand firm on the truth. Stand firm in his word. And so yeah, that industry is demonic, man. I've I seen it destroy families. I've seen it destroy people. It may look glamorous at first. It may seem appealing at first, just like that fruit looked delicious, but it was detrimental. It brought sin into the world. This is why OnlyFans exists because of that. Just the same way that the same way how pornography exists, it's the same way how sin was brought into the world. Think about that. The same way pornography exists, it's the same. It went through the same process how sin itself came into the world. It looked good, looked appealing, but ended up being detrimental. That fruit looked good, it looked appealing, but it was detrimental, and it brought sin into the world, which led to things like pornography. And it's the same thing with pornography. It's look appealing, it looked good to the flesh, but it's detrimental. And we see how much it costs. And I remember my first time ever experiencing masturbation at the age of like, I don't know, like 13, 12 or something. And I remember like when I was like stuck, like, you know, I felt I didn't even know it was bad, but I knew it was bad. Like I knew it was bad based off because I ain't supposed to watch that. But I didn't know like spiritually it was bad, right? But spiritually, I felt something in me, and I felt so convicting, and I didn't know exactly. I couldn't tell what it was, right? Because I didn't know, and I remember crying and stuff, and being so sad and wondering why I can't stop. And eventually, I stopped, and then I got deep into it and didn't care. And now that I'm a new creation, I have a way different thought on it. Way different thought on it. And it is like one of those things that I think that we need to talk about more as Christians, because if we don't, then we're going to be stuck in it, And I think that's the problem is we don't talk about it as Christians, right? We think, oh, if I talk about it, if I share this, then they're going to look at me back. Look, it's not about what man think. It's not about what the other Christians think of you. It's about having a relationship with Jesus. It's about what Jesus think of you. Jesus love us. He give us grace and mercy. That doesn't give us the pass to do whatever, continue to do it. But to know that you're not the only one that's going through that, right? And we gotta just confess our sins to one another. Confess it to a brother that understand, and it's good. That's why having fellowship and discipleship is really good. Having a brother you can confess it to, because a lot of them, I guarantee you, most of them can relate to you. I don't. I I haven't heard not even one Christian brother say, "Oh, you're wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. Oh man, you a failure." No, it's I always hear, "Bro, I get it. Bro, I understand." Well, bro, I'm dealing with that too. Bro, we gotta keep on fighting. A righteous man falls 7 times but get back up. And so, man, I'm glad that there are people like her that sharing her testimony, and it's just strengthening people and is bringing people out of it, you know. And I think there need to be more men themselves who were tied into that that's fighting against it as well. And just by listening to this and just hearing myself, like I feel like uh, I I don't know. Maybe God calling me to work with men who struggle in that and to be a voice because we all in this fight together and we must stay strong and we must stay faithful. But with that being said, man, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this content, if you love looking at things from a Christian lens or learning anything about Jesus, or even if you just enjoy this content. I fully uh appreciate the support that I have. And with that being said, man, I hope y'all have a blessed day. I'm out.